"Let them go!" I yelled at the Giants. The one called Joe Bob growled at me. He had a tattoo on his biceps that said JB loves baby cakes. "And lose our tasty morsels? No, son of the sea god. We Lastragonians aren't just playing for death. We want lunch." He waved his hand and a new batch of dodgeballs appeared on the center line. But these balls weren't made of red rubber. They were bronze, the size of cannonballs, perforated like wiffle balls, and with fire bubbling out of the holes. They must have been searing hot, but the Giants picked them up with their bare hands. "Coach!" I yelled. Nunley looked up sleepily, but if he saw anything abnormal about the dodgeball game, he didn't let on. That's the problem with mortals. A magical force called the mist obscures the true appearance of monsters and gods from their vision, so mortals tend to only see what they can understand. Maybe the coach saw a few 8th graders pounding the younger kids like usual. Maybe the other kids saw Matt Sloan's thugs getting ready to toss Mavlov cocktails at us. I wouldn't have been the first time. At any rate, I was pretty sure nobody else realized that we were dealing with genuine man-eating, bloodthirsty monsters. "Yeah, Coach muttered. "Play nice." And he went back to his magazine. The giant named Skull Eater threw his ball. I dove aside and the fiery bronze comet sailed past my shoulder. "Corey!" I screamed. Tyson pulled him out from behind the exercise mat just as the ball exploded against it, blasting the mat to smoking shreds. "Run!" I told my teammates. "To the other exit!" They ran for the locker room, but with another wave of Joe Bob's hand, the door slammed shut. "No one leaves until you're out," Joe Bob roared. "And you're not out until we eat you." He launched his own fireball. My teammates scattered as it blasted a crater in the gym room floor. I reached for Riptide, which I almost always kept in my pocket, when I realized I was wearing my gym shorts. I had no pockets. Riptide was tucked inside my jeans inside my gym locker, and the locker room door was sealed. I was completely defenseless. Another fireball came streaking towards me. Tyson pushed me out of the way, but the explosion still blew me head over heels. I found myself sprawled on the gym floor, dazed from the smoke. My tie-dye t-shirt was peppered with sizzling holes. Just across the center line, 2 hungry giants were glaring down at me. "Flash!" they bellowed. "Hero flash for our lunch!" They both took aim. "Percy needs help," Tyson yelled, and he jumped in front of me just as they threw their balls. "Tyson!" I screamed, but it was too late. Both balls slammed into him. But no, he'd caught them. Somehow, Tyson, who was so clumsy that he knocked over lab equipment and broke playground structures on a regular basis, had caught 2 fiery metal balls speeding towards him at a zillion miles an hour. He sent them hurtling back towards their surprised owners, who screamed, "Bad!" as the bronze spears exploded against their chests. The giants disintegrated into 2 columns of flame, a sure sign that they were monsters all right. Monsters don't die. They just dissipate into smoke and dust, which saves heroes a lot of trouble cleaning up after a fight. "My brothers!" Joe Bob the Cannibal wailed. He flexed his muscles and his baby cakes tattoo rippled. "You will pay for their destruction!" "Tyson!" I yelled. "Look out!" Another comet hurled towards us. Tyson just had time to swat it aside. It flew straight over Coach Nulley's head and landed in the bleachers with a huge kaboom! Kids were running around screaming, trying to avoid the sizzling craters on the floor. Others were banging on the doors, calling for help. Sloan himself stood petrified in the middle of the court, watching in disbelief as balls of death flew around him. Coach Nulley still wasn't seeing anything. He tapped his hearing aid like explosions were giving him interference, but he kept his eyes on the magazine. Surely the whole school could hear the noise. The headmaster, the police, somebody would come help us. "Victory will be ours," roared Joe Bob at the cannibal. "We will feast on your bones." I wanted to tell him that he was taking the dodgeball game a little too seriously. Before I could, he hefted another ball. The other 3 giants followed his lead. I knew we were dead. Tyson couldn't deflect all his balls at once. His hands had to be seriously burned from flicking out the first volley. Without my sword, I had a crazy idea. I ran towards the locker room door. "Move!" I told my teammates. "Away from the door!" Explosions behind me. Tyson had battered away 2 of the balls back to their owners and blasted them to ashes. The left 2 giants were still standing. A 3rd ball hurled straight at me. I forced myself to wait. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, then dove aside as a fiery spear demolished the locker room door. Now I figured that the built-up gas in the boys' room locker was enough to cause an explosion, so I wasn't surprised when the flaming dodgeball ignited with a huge whoomp. The wall blew apart. Locker doors, socks, athletic supporters, and other various nasty personal items belonging rained all over the gym. I turned just in time to see Tyson punch Skull Eater in the face. The giant crumpled, but the last giant, Joe Bob, had wisely held on to his own ball, waiting for an opportunity. He threw just as Tyson was turning to face him. "No!" I yelled.